A graduate of DC Everest High School, Diane was a loving mother to two children, Christy Blue and Chuck Venti. Diane will be remembered as a loyal employee of Marathon Savings Bank, where she has been a branch manager since 1998. Diane valued the customer relationship and loved to serve her customers and neighbors. Diane met her husband, Robert Look, while working at a local bank in 1988. The two married in 1992 and lived in South Dakota for a number of years before returning to Wisconsin in 1998. They have resided in Wisconsin since. Diane and Robert celebrated their 25th wedding anniversary this past Valentine's Day. Diane was 67 years old. Karen Barclay moved to Wisconsin in 1993 and was employed at Marathon Savings Bank for more than 5 years. She was a loving mother to one daughter and to two granddaughters, ages 4 and 7. Karen will always be remembered as Mum by her granddaughters. Karen was extremely dedicated to her work. She loved her holidays, co-workers, and spending time with family. Karen was 62 years old. Sarah Court Sand was a lifelong resident of Wausau. She was a loving wife, daughter, sister, stepmom, aunt, friend, and a community servant. Sarah loved golf, yoga, practicing law, and her dog Mary. Sarah was 43 years old. The families of the victims are grateful for all the community support and prayers and ask for privacy while they grieve the loss of their loved ones. Businesses affected by yesterday's events are closed until further notice. There will be an announcement with additional details at a later time. Victim witnesses, professionals, and law enforcement officers are working with residents of the suspect's apartment building to recover personal items while they are temporarily displaced.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon. I'm Jason Smith with the Wisconsin Department of Justice Division of Criminal Investigation. Again, our thoughts and prayers with the families of the victims and with the community that recovers from this terrible tragedy. Attorney Brad Schimmel has released a statement on details of the incident, which will be supported by the briefing I'm providing. Yesterday, over 100 law enforcement officers, deputies, troopers, special agents from DCI and FBI, crime lab technicians, chaplains, and victim service personnel from all corners of the state responded to this incident. This is a 24-hour operation, and we've worked throughout the night to process multiple crime scenes and conduct extensive interviews. Our work is not finished. Despite the fact that we have identified and arrested one individual believed to be responsible for so much harm, we are very thorough in our effort, and this will take some more time. Our goal is to restore the community to the place it was before yesterday, but even after that yellow tape comes down, there's a long process of recovery. In a moment, I will turn this over to Marathon County Sheriff Parks to talk about how that support to a resilient community will restore us back. The suspect of these shootings is a 45-year-old male who is a resident of the village of Weston. He sustained non-fatal gunshot wounds and was provided emergency care by tactical officers at the scene because that's what police do. He was transported to a local hospital for medical treatment where he remains in police custody. The suspect will be prosecuted by the Wisconsin Department of Justice Criminal Litigation Unit. The suspect motivation was domestic. It was a domestic incident, not a bank robbery as previously reported. More information, including the suspect's identity and any prior contact with law enforcement, will be released in the future. Law enforcement officers with the Marathon County Sheriff's Office tactical team were involved in the exchange of gunfire that resulted in the suspect's injury. The involved deputies are on paid administrative leave, pending the outcome of the officer-involved shooting investigation by the Wisconsin Department of Justice Division of Criminal Investigation and charging decisions by the Wisconsin Attorney General's Office. This was an isolated incident with one suspect. Law enforcement investigation to this point, again, has identified this as a domestic violence incident that evolved into tragic crimes that extended further into the community. The victim of the domestic violence associated with this suspect was identified and is unharmed. No other individuals were physically harmed during yesterday's shootings. Again, our thoughts and prayers with the victim families and our sincere appreciation for all of the support we've received from law enforcement across the state. Sheriff.
Good afternoon. I'm Scott Parks, Sheriff of Marathon County. I have spoken frequently about how well local law enforcement works together in this area. It does not matter whether you wear a blue uniform, black uniform, or green uniform, we're all one united team. This community experienced a series of tragic events yesterday. Everest Metro Police Department lost one of their detectives killed in the line of duty. As that agency grieves the loss of their detective, the Marathon County Sheriff's Office and Wausau Police Department will provide police services to those citizens residing in the Everest Metro jurisdiction. We will be supplemented in this effort by other law enforcement agencies from around the state of Wisconsin, and I want to just identify some of those right now. Corona-Wedder Police Department, Mosinee Police Department, Merrill Police Department, the State Patrol, Lincoln County Sheriff's Office, Oneida County Sheriff's Office. We've had agencies coming from all the way in southern Wisconsin that are willing to come up here and provide us the support that we need, because law enforcement is a brotherhood that stands together. There have been questions about displaced residents being able to return to their residence in the area of Ross Avenue and Aspen Street. All residents, with the exception of those residing at 4911, are being permitted to return. Efforts continue to be able to open up 4911 for those residents to return to that area to reside. This community has demonstrated a wonderful display of care and compassion and support. There have been many offers of food and more to those affected and the various agencies that are assisting in this investigation. But for those of us who live here and work here, that caring action is something that's demonstrated every day by this community, and we're fortunate to have that. I echo the comments of all the others that you've heard today in trying to keep the families of those that lost loved ones and those that are impacted by this tragic event in our thoughts and prayers. Thank you. We'll open it up for questions.
Sure. We'll answer questions. Again, DCI is here for questions about the investigation, and Chief and Sheriff for anything else.
In terms of the bank, sir, why do you believe that was the initial place of friction?
That was the first contact we've had, and again, we're doing extensive interviews with people that were witnesses to the incident.
Do you know why the suspect went there?
We do, and that's part of the investigation and motivation that we will talk about at a different time.
Can you confirm that the target, the suspect, presumably had a target in mind, where you said that that person is safe? Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And do you know the relationship with that person to the suspect?
Again, this is a domestic incident, so they are their family.
Their family members?
Yes.
Okay.
Any reason why you're not releasing the name of the suspect?
Again, we have a lot of investigation. We have dozens of interviews left, and we don't want to put any information out there about that right now.
Are they husband and wife?
Yes.
Rothschild police responded at 12:30 to this. What happened in that half an hour where they go back and find 2 people shot? Why did they not arrest the suspect right away?
They didn't have contact with him. The suspect was in motion at the time to the other places that became crime scenes.
The lawyer that was killed, was she the family lawyer?
Again, information we'll release at a later time.
Is the suspect cooperating?
The suspect is under medical care right now.
Is he conscious?
We have not dealt with him as far as interviews. He's still under intense medical care.
Can you walk us through the standoff that took place on Aspen Street?
I don't know if we're going to get into much detail. I'll turn that over to Sheriff Parks to provide some details.
This is still an active investigation in conjunction with Division of Criminal Investigation, so we can't provide a whole lot of detail other than the fact that our tactical team was in a position to aid Everest Metro officers in this event.
And how long was the time frame? Can you give us a general sense of the arrival of law enforcement, what transpired, and then the outcome?
Our tactical team was already en route because of the other events that took place, so they were diverted to the Aspen Street, Ross Avenue area.
Why did Wheeland approach that apartment without a SWAT team in place?
Why?
Why did Wheeland approach that apartment?
We have to set up perimeters, that's what we do. We set up perimeters to contain the events and also to protect the citizens that we serve.
So he was on a perimeter, he did not approach the actual door or the apartment?
He was establishing a perimeter for the safety of all.
Sheriff, how much negotiation took place between officers and the suspect?
Negotiation was taking place on a constant basis, as I don't have a specific time.
Can you say the basics about the suspect's condition? Is he in critical? Is he stable?
We haven't had contact with him, and I don't have that information.
Is Officer Whelan the first officer killed in this department?
I'll have to refer you to Chief Sparks, I believe it is, yes.
The first one in the line of duty, that is correct.
What was that, sorry?
Yes, he's the first officer on our department killed in the line of duty.
Did the victim survive long enough to identify the suspect?
Excuse me?
Did the victims live long enough to identify the suspect to law enforcement?
That's something we'll leave, again, we're not getting into any victim or witness statements at this time.
The hospital was also put on lockdown. Why was that?
We train in the community.
Oh,
You bet.
sorry about
People's reactions and schools going in lockdown, these aren't things they just do. There's a lot of work that law enforcement does in the community to prepare for events like this, including active shooter. So those locations, schools, hotels, any place, any business that went on lockdown and followed a process, it is the likely result of long hours of partnership with law enforcement and the community before things like this happen. So places that went into lockdown were doing as they were trained.
Your husband and wife, any previous reports of domestic violence?
Not getting into that portion of the investigation. We'll take one more question.
Were the bank victims specifically targeted, do you know?
Again, the origin of this was a domestic violence incident, and those other victims became part of this evolving crime push.
Were any of the suspects
We're done. Thanks.
Again, that is a
What's the
press
date for the
conference
next
coming out
briefing?
of Wausau, where we're learning more about the 4 people who were killed, 1 being an officer, 2 being bank employees, and the 4th being a lawyer. Now, the preliminary investigation reveals that this rampage all stemmed from a domestic violence situation between a husband and the wife. The wife, we are told, was unharmed in this physically, but I'm sure emotionally she is distraught by this whole ordeal.
And the suspect, the husband here, is described as 45 years old from Weston. He was shot yesterday in the attempt to take him into custody, but he survived. Officers there on the scene gave him medical care immediately. As we just heard, they've not been able to interview him yet about what motives may have set him off yesterday, because he is under medical care, and we'll get more information on that as they are able to speak with him in the investigation.